My clothing brand made $809,000 while I was busy traveling the world. Okay, so in my last video, I explained the overarching strategy and principles needed to achieve results like this, but what I didn't explain is how I was able to do all of that while traveling nonstop, never seeing my inventory, never physically shipping out the inventory myself, still being able to make content that is highly engaging and converts on paid ads while traveling, all while working less than 2 to 4 hours a day. Sounds like a dream scenario, and that's because it is, but it is very achievable. Here's a little proof of results. Total sales of 800,000 plus in the last 365 days while starting from almost basically zero. Okay, so this video is for founders who are doing between 5 and 50K a month with their clothing brand. You may have financial freedom, but you don't have time freedom or location freedom. You are still fulfilling out of a storage unit or a garage, and you have to work 8 to 12 hours per day. If you feel like you don't, the business won't be able to operate. And lastly, you don't know who to hire and when it would be the right time to hire them. Now, I totally understand. Trust me, my first business in 2017 was the exact same way. I was literally, in the cut with my parents, my cousins, my friends, you name it, in the garage, basement, living room, couches, just packing thousands of orders per month just with our hands, not knowing that you can use 3PLs or hire help for pretty much any function of the business. But since then, I've completely understood the concepts of systems, teams, delegation, and this has resulted in massive amounts of freedom. So, a little storyboard of my travels: Lisbon in January 2023, Tokyo, Kyoto, Phuket, Bangkok, Shanghai, Guangzhou, visiting my factories in China. Actually, I went to China 4 times in 2023, mostly just to develop Guangxi with my factories, as well as check samples, pick fabrics, materials, etc. Highly recommend that anyone does that if they have the opportunity to. LA, went back to the US at the beginning of 2024, hung out with some friends in fashion, and also did some shoots in New York City, as you can see here. And lastly, I'm back in Asia right now in Ho Chi Minh City. So, what are the actual steps to achieve this freedom? That is what this 10-minute video is all about. And disclaimer, if you have no desire for freedom, or if you have so much brain rot that you don't have the attention span to learn critical life lessons from a simple 10-minute video, feel free to click away now. But the rest of you, smart people who are going to watch the full video, take notes and become wiser, you are in for a treat. So, just wanted to take 5 seconds to ask you to please subscribe and give a thumbs up so we can keep delivering this sort of banger content to you on a weekly basis. Let's dive right in. Okay, so achieving freedom with your clothing brand is a simple 3-step process. You need to dial in your logistics, you need to dial in your team, and you need to dial in your content. Okay, so firstly, dialing in logistics. What is logistics? It's kind of like an advanced word, but it's basically part of supply chain. Logistics is the overall process for dealing with the flow of product from manufacturer to warehouse to the end consumer. Right now, you're probably shipping the products from overseas and receiving them into your house, a storage unit, or an office. This means you have to be there to manage the inventory and manually ship out the packages yourself. So let's look at these charts down here. Right now, you're using an overseas manufacturer probably, and then you're using either a boat, which is sea freight, or a plane, which is air freight. Hopefully, you're using sea, but if you're doing pre-orders or something like this, then you're probably using air so you can get it to your customers faster. After it goes on a boat or a plane, it gets to your house. And then once it's at your house, you, your buddies, whatever, will package your hundreds of orders and finally ship it to your end customer. Now, after you dial in your logistics and you kind of switch it up, this is what happens. You will utilize what is called a 3PL, which is short for a third-party logistics company. And that is just a fancy way of saying it is a business that owns a warehouse, they hire employees, they store your products, and they ship out your clothing packages for you to your end consumer. A 3PL is necessary to achieve location freedom. Here's why you shouldn't use these 3 alternatives instead of a 3PL. You don't want to ship from home because it takes up space, and obviously you have to be at home to ship, so you can't travel. Don't ship from a storage unit because you have to drive back and forth between house and a storage unit every time you want to ship. And if you scale fast, you will constantly have to change storage units, and you will still have to ship it out yourself. And lastly, don't ship from an office because, it's too much overhead if you're doing 50K a month. And even if you do hire someone to go into the office and ship it out for you while you travel, then you're basically wasting money on the office because you're not using it while still needing to remotely manage employees, which is very hard. So what are the costs of a US-based 3PL? You might want to know just so you know what you're getting yourself into. Basically, for a storage fee, they charge between $300 and $500 a month, depending on how much inventory you have. Pick and pack fee is about $2 to $2.50 per package, and a receiving fee of about 10 cents per item. Once you add it all up, it's about $3 to $4 of cost per order, which is a small price to pay to achieve the following. You never have to see or touch your inventory. You don't have to interview, hire, or manage, or fire employees, and you won't waste money on an office while traveling. Even better, I have a secret tactic that 7-figure brands are using. It is a China 3PL. So this is applying to you if you produce and manufacture your products in China. The costs are very minimal or zero storage and receiving fees, and only $1 per package to ship out. Now you might be thinking, what are the ramifications of this in terms of customer delivery speed? How does the logistics work? Well, here I'm going to explain it in these charts. Okay, so before, this is what your logistics looks like. You have your manufacturer, put it on a boat. It takes about 30 days to get to the US. Then it goes to your 3PL, which probably takes another few days. And then from the 3PL to the customer, it takes 3 to 5 days. So in total, it is going to be at least 33 to 35 days once you have the products made and you want to start pushing it out to your customers. After, when you switch to a Chinese 3PL, what will happen is you have your manufacturer, it makes the clothing, and it only takes 1 day to get to the 3PL. And right here is when you can start launching your products and saying it's available to ship, which it is. And then when the customer orders, it takes about 7 days to get to the customer, no matter where they are in the world, for very cheap, for a total of 8 to 10 days where you can get it to the customer after the goods have been produced. What does this do? Well, it's very important that it reduces your cash conversion cycle. So what does this do? It reduces your cash conversion cycle, which means you can launch products 20 to 30 days faster, and you can turn inventory into cash faster, so you can make more sales over a given period of time. It keeps customers interested and engaged rather than waiting 2 to 3 months between drops, because you can drop way more often by being nimble with a Chinese 3PL. Secondly, it reduced costs down. So a quick summary of dialing in your logistics: get a 3PL so you never have to see your inventory, manage employees, or overpay for an office. But a caveat is I would wait until at least 5 to 10K in sales to get a 3PL so that your fixed costs, which is basically the monthly storage, becomes worth it as the monthly fixed cost gets spread out between each package you send. And below 10K a month in sales, you should mostly think about being nimble and lean. Don't worry about a 3PL. Save your money and ship out your packages yourself until you can afford to get a 3PL above 10K in sales. Okay, now moving on to dialing in your team. If you want time freedom, meaning you could take a week off and your brand is still running, or if you only want to work 2 to 4 hours a day, then this section is for you. The biggest blockers when building a team is that founders don't know who to hire and when to hire them. They either hire the wrong people and waste a ton of money, or they hire them at the wrong time, and the current P&L can't support that monthly salary or retainer. So here's an easy guide to hiring for your clothing brand. Stage 1, 0 to 20K a month. This is the DIY stage. You basically have no hires because you have no excess profits to share with any employees. So the main point is being lean and finding product market fit. Once you find that product market fit, after you've dedicated all your time, spending all your effort to finding this product market fit, you can start to scale and hire more employees. But for now, your only hires are designers. If you're not a designer yourself, or you just want support with designers, then this is something you can afford. Charge usually $100 to $200 per design. Help packing orders as well. If you're doing a DIY, you can pay friends, family, whatever it is, $8 to $10 an hour to help you do that. Once you've gotten to stage 2, which is about 20K to 50K a month, this is the building stage. You've found a product that sells, you're starting to get traction, and you can start hiring help. This is when you can start to think about using a 3PL as you grow. The goal of hiring in this stage is to free up your time, develop better products, improve quality, talk to customers and learn, hone in on creatives and photo shoots. The hires that you're going to be making are designers, paid media freelancers, or cheap agencies. So at this point, we'll start to be churning out 10 to 15K profit a month, and you can use some of that profit to hire a paid media freelancer. You can also, optional, get an email and SMS freelancer, which is what I love doing. It really frees up your time because you have to be in Klaviyo designing emails, you have to be in PostScript designing text messages. So that'll free up a lot of time as well. Then also, lastly, you can get a part-time VA. Use a part-time VA because I like to track key metrics such as MER, which is marketing efficiency ratio, your production calendar, influencer spend, influencer management, stuff like that. Okay, so stage 3 is when you're at 50K a month or more. This is what I call the growth/scale stage. This is when things start to get fun. Start having budget to hire key roles that free up all your time, also allows you to scale further than what you could with your own skill set. Hires that you will make at this time are designers and the paid media freelancers, the email SMS freelancer, part-time VA. Here, what you can do is two things. You definitely should have a 3PO. So I'll add that right here. You should definitely have a 3PO. And also you can start to hire what is called a content manager. This is someone that you can pay between 1 to 3, 4K a month, depending on the scope of work. But this is someone who is completely responsible for developing every piece of content that will be used for your social media and ads. This is what really frees up your time as well as your location, as now you don't have to go to every photo shoot and manage that process. Content managers will be in direct contact with your media buyers and retention managers, coordinate the content to be used for your campaigns, whether it's on Facebook, Meta, Instagram, TikTok, or through your remarketing platforms for email and SMS. In summary, all this will catapult your marketing performance while reducing your workload on a day-to-day basis so you can focus on improving your product quality, fit, designs, quality, like we talked about in the last video, and manage the overarching strategy instead of being involved in the monotonous day-to-day. Okay, in step 3, this is the last step that you need to know in order to free up your time and location, dialing in content. There are so many ways to optimize your content while traveling. You can either use services like Suna, who I've personally used in the past, Suna.co right here. Basically what they do, you basically send in your product to these studios. It will manage the entire process from conceptualization of the shoot, model selection, shoot day, and photo and video editing. You can see these are pretty good photos, probably the same quality, if not better than what you could do alone with your own setup, or you can DIY your content wherever you go. So how do we do this? First, we have to list out all the different types of content. Firstly, there's the studio content, which is like model with a white background, super clean, or just product flat lays like this. This can be done in any target country that you're traveling in, especially if you're in like Southeast Asia, where I like to travel a lot. The prices to rent studios, photographers, hair and makeup, stylists, models, that's like 50 to 70% discounted what you're used to paying in the US. I can do shoots for 2 to 3K that would probably cost me between 10 and 15K in the US. Like personally, studio content for my brand is completely shot in Thailand. I estimate that I've probably saved around like 40 to 50K just by shooting here. Lifestyle content around the world makes your brand look global and it gives it extreme legitimacy. Like literally look at Broken Planet. You know, they look amazing. They're in LA here. They're in Paris here. I don't even know where that is, but it's beautiful. Another thing is you can work with a variety of new models and influencers that you didn't have access to before in your own area. Congrats, guys. You have learned how to attain financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom, all while scaling your clothing brand to 100K per month. Learned who to hire, at what point in your company, in your trajectory, you should hire them at. Also learned how to achieve high-level content remotely or while traveling abroad. So if you got value from this video, please spend 2 seconds giving it a thumbs up and subscribe for more, and comment any video topics you might want to hear about in the future. More on the way. It's been a pleasure. Peace.